Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now my question was about the army of Yazid. Why didn't they stop him from? Why did they disobey his orders?
Why didn't they disobey? Some of them did. Some of them disobeyed. Some of them they woke up. You see, it is the law of this world. Like goes with like. Meaning, if you're like this, you will attract people like this also. Yes? What was Yazid going for? What was he looking for? Haq? No. Dunya, power, power. He wanted to rule everything. So those ones who were with him, what did they want? Haq? They want power. And they're on the winning side. Dunya, I mean they lose really dunya and akhirat, but and he promised them. Before the army came, it looked as if it's going to be a fair fight between the armies of Yazid and the armies of all those tribes right up to Karbala. It looks like it's going to be a fair fight. But Hazrat Hussein was also warned by the senior Sahabis not to trust all these pledges of loyalty and allegiance by all those tribes saying, yeah, Hussein, we will die for you, our children will die for you. We're talking about 20,000, 15,000, 10,000, 30,000. We're not talking about small numbers. They're promising. And they came to greet him. And they marched with him. As he went on and on, those ones who are pledging all this to be with Hazrat Hussein, what did they want? Akhirat? Haq? To defend Hazrat Hussein? Dunya. They were thinking, well, good, Hazrat Hussein is going to fight them. He's going to defeat, he's going to become the Khalifa, and we will get positions. They still have faith. Let me say, they still have faith? No. Let's say they still have the Shahadat. Let's say. They're still praying. They're still doing everything. But they want something, they want this dunya. And they say, Hazrat Hussein has that power. We want that dunya. But when it became clearer to them that Hazrat Hussein was not interested, he wasn't interested. He wasn't planning to have a full-scale war with them too. He was just walking. He was making his hijrah, like his grandfather did. He was making his hijrah. He was not fighting. So when it became clear that he was just making his hijrah, he's not fighting, he's not going to win, they say, oh, why do we have to be with him? So many of them, they joined Yazid too. And Yazid slaughtered them. He killed them all, saying that you left Hussein, huh? How can I trust you? I can never trust you. You betrayed the grandson of the Prophet. He killed them. Those ones lost dunya and akhirat. So that side wanted dunya, both sides wanted dunya. The other side too, so they didn't stop. Some, yes, on the side of Yazid, the army, some woke up a little bit and they realized that this is wrong. Because their intention was good, their hearts turned, but majority didn't. So, as much as in tariqat we are talking about obedience, as much as we are talking about following a guide and a leader, as much as we're saying don't put doubts in there, that much also we say use your intelligence, use your common sense. Do not follow anyone, even us, blindly, because it's not, if you follow blindly, you don't know why you're doing it. If you don't know why you're doing it, the result is not going to be good. Because you don't know what you're doing. You're not going to see any benefit. You must know what you're doing. This whole tariqat is based on you. You must know what you're doing. You're waking up today. Why are you waking up? You're praying. Why are you praying? You want to go to work. Why are you going to work? You must know the reason. How many times we hear Shaykh Effendi saying, when you put all these things together, when you sit down, you figure things out, you don't need anyone to tell you. How many times you hear that? So many times. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do. You know what to do. So this tariqat is not just about that too. Because those ones who are going to follow blindly, if they don't know the reason why, they will leave too. They will leave. Like those ones following Hazrat Hussein, they followed him blindly with a different intention. When their eyes are open and they see what Hazrat Hussein is wants from that, they say, no, this is not what we signed up for. And they left. So, the situation is also very, very far away. Huh? And everything was fractured at that time. You cannot also say, why didn't some of the Sahabis also do this? Why they didn't do that? Why they didn't come together to protect? No, it's not like today's situation also. It's a war situation that was filled with fitna at that time. Yazid was locking everyone. He was going to burn down. He burned down the Kaaba. No. It was before or after? It was after he did that, I believe. It was, people did not have power. So when those high-level Sahabis, they told Hazrat Hussein, don't go with them, don't trust them. They had dealings with your father and they betrayed your father. He says, I know that, he says. He knows that. He was not a 23-year-old going as the way that they are picturing him to be. He went there when he was what, in his 50s. He had children. He had grandchildren. Meaning, a person in his 20s going to war, they have a different blood, different intention, different drive, no? Different spirit. When you're 50 years old, you have a different spirit. He was not just going to, and he told them, no, I have to walk my destiny. So, this we spoke about last year. Nobody really asked me to open it up. Let me just open it up for you a little bit. Why is Karbala it's very unusual, isn't it? On the 10th of Muharrem on Ashura, so many blessed things happened, and then this Karbala happened. Yes? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not save Hazrat Hussein, let us say, like that. Although, really, they are saved, but to the eyes of the whole world, they are not. Why that? Why for us? All of that, Hazrat Adam is forgiven, Nuh alayhi salam found safety, Hazrat Ibrahim was pulled out from the fire, all of that blessed events happened to those nations. But to this nation at the 10th of Muharram, nothing happened except for that massacre. What is that supposed to teach us? What is that supposed to teach the Muslims? What lesson are we going to get now from that? Especially for the people of Akhir Zaman. You call yourself Muslims. The only Muslims you're going to be are those ones who follow Ahlul Bayt. You call yourselves Muslims, and you're saying you're holding on to the Ahlul Bayt, to the Shaykhs, then prepare yourself for hardship. Prepare. Prepare to sacrifice your whole family. It's something I just made up. Right now, as we are speaking, millions of Muslims are sacrificing their families and themselves just because of their faith. They didn't want to give up from their faith. Especially in Akhir Zaman, because there's no protection in the Akhir Zaman, yes? When there was Khilafat, there was protection, no? There's no Khalifa. There's no protection. You want to hold on to your faith? Like that coal of fire, take it, don't drop it, pass it from one hand to another. Be prepared for that. We are going to be tested. To at least think about that, to prepare ourselves a little bit. We are very weak ones. We're not asking Allah to test us, but we take it as a lesson, because otherwise it's just a story that we're just going to get very emotional about. The same ones who are beating themselves up, their grandfathers, great-grandfathers, are the ones who betrayed Hazrat Hussein. And to stand up for truth. And standing up for truth doesn't necessarily mean the sky is going to crack open with angels and you get a blazing victory. It doesn't just mean that. Standing up for truth, sometimes it is extreme sacrifice. But people are going to say, these are the ones of honor. Because in the face of that biting tyranny, they didn't back down. They didn't. They still stood up. May Allah forgive us. Our faith is very weak. We cannot come close to that. We cannot. But every day, if you're going through some difficulties, think on that. Every day you're going through some tightness with your children, with your husbands, with your wives, with your friends. If you are taken advantage of in some ways, abused in some ways, people do bad things to you, think of that at least and say, what is my pain compared to the pain of the martyrs of Karbala? Then it pulls you back a little bit, you know? Because especially in Akhir Zaman, we're so spoiled, especially in this country. A little bit of pain comes, oh, complete disaster, subhanAllah. Complete disaster. Why? Because I want that car and I didn't get it. Someone else got it. Because I lost so much money. Because I had a fight. These are not fairy tales. These are not theater for us to see once a year and to get very emotional about. Then slowly, if you start looking at your own daily experience as just your own, let's say, micro version of right and wrong, haq and batil. It is. Everyone is going through haq and batil in your own daily lives. If you're fighting against your ego, you're fighting against the batil. You don't have to have the army of Yazid in front of you. Your ego is worse than Yazid. Ego wants to do that and you fight against it. You take lesson from it. You will win. May Allah forgive me, inshallah. Al-Fatiha. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.